us today on the road to recovery. I'm Ronda Jackson, your host, serial entrepreneur and small business advocate. And today we have the pleasure of having Miss Lindsey Carnet, CEO and president of Marketing Maven, join us today. Hi, Lindsey. Welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Oh, of course, of course. Now, you and I share quite a few platforms, quite a few interactions, and just a plethora of history of growth and development as female entrepreneurs. And I think that the audience deserves to know a little bit more about Marketing Maven before we begin. Will you give us a little shout out about what you do and how you do it?
Sure, I started Marketing Maven right during the recession. Now we're in the pandemic, so we have two major milestones behind us. And we're helping companies pivot, we're helping companies grow with their marketing. And this can range from market research, public relations, social media marketing, influencer marketing, really the whole gamut, full service marketing.
Yeah, and it's so important right now that digital footprint. I mean, it has to be large. Like everybody needs a King Kong size digital footprint, but that's all the stuff that we're going to get into today. But you and I were talking in the pre-conversation that there's a little bit of work to do before you just blast yourself out there. So I found that really interesting. But you know the way that I like to start the show, I like to ask guests for one word that they would use to describe now. What would your one word be?
I would say nimble. You have to be nimble today to make quick moves because our world is expanding and contracting, and you just have to be nimble to roll with the punches.
Rolling with the punches. I like that. That nimble and that agility is probably what made you survive through, a recession and now a pandemic and really grow and blossom. So this is actually a prime time to get advice from a company like yours because not only do you know the tactics and know the strategies, but you've lived them, right?
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
mean, we're looking at emerging markets right now, what's going on in throughout the world.
Okay, so let's talk about that. How are you approaching that as far as a growth strategy, right? Emerging markets. What's one of the major components of doing that?
It's market research. So we have to know what the numbers are. We have to know where people are looking. That's something that we do is a deep dive web crawl, and we are looking at all the conversations with specific areas. We can look back over 12 months. We can look back over different geographical regions for different key terms. So even in the term of emerging markets or whatever vertical you play in, though there are massive amounts of conversations happening.
Okay, so with each one of those conversations is also a problem and a solution. And one of the things that you help people do is craft those marketing messages to, inform the customer that you can help with that, right? With that solution.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, even this chair I'm sitting on, there's office chairs, and then there's home office, and then there's office.
Uh,
So, what are the conversations that are happening about home office chairs today? And how does that look with competitors? And what's the share of voice, the sentiment, et cetera?
okay, so let's now, okay, you've given me some new terminology, share of voice and sentiment as far as it relates to marketing. So when you say share of voice, I'm thinking thought leadership and I'm
That's
thinking,
part of it.
oh, okay. Can you say a little more? Tell us what you're
Yeah,
looking
so
for from a marketing.
share voice, when you look at your competitors,
Mhm.
there are some giants in the room, the big 800-pound gorillas that you have to say, well, I would love a piece of that market share.
Okay.
And then there are the smaller players, and you probably make up one of those smaller players, or maybe you're the 800-pound gorilla, but you need to know kind of who's biting at your heels, who's coming for you. So the share of voice is a good indicator of who dominates that conversation based on all of the conversations online in forums, blogs, social media, the news, all of those conversations, you can bucket them out and see who is the strongest in each category.
Okay, so let me make sure I understand this. So we have market research that's happening, and that market research we're using as a guide on what direction to pivot our businesses in, or make that transformation. And then you're saying that there's the competitive analysis on who has the market share based on who's our biggest competitors, even small ones,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then
Yes.
I also heard you mention now where we're taking that information into different platforms. So can you speak a little bit more about what happens to those conversations in those various platforms, or how to analyze where we want to show up on in those places?
Yes, on each platform is a different audience. So somebody who might be watching the news could be different than somebody who's engaging with social media. And somebody who's engaging with social media could be different than somebody who is chatting on forums. And so it's really important to look at what is the sentiment associated with each of those platforms as it relates to your company, and what is the sentiment, positive, negative, or neutral,
Okay.
as it relates to your competitors. One of your competitors could have the biggest share of voice on a forum, but it could be majority negative
Right.
content, which would be great for you because you can come in as the hero and say, well, we don't have this problem, or you can, here's another solution. So it's really to see where you want to plan your attack,
Mhm.
your marketing attack, and where your marketing dollars are uh, best spent. Where is the wisest investment for you to make?
So speaking of that, is there a ground zero? Is there a neutral place that most business owners could find some success or find some elbow room in a market share?
Oh yeah, I mean, everybody can always, you can, it's kind of like banks move money around. It's just a transfer of money from one bank to the other. Like it's the same thing with market share. So it goes from one company to the next company, one platform to the next platform. So it's not a matter of if you can take market share, it's whose market share do you want to take and in which category, and what type of market share is going to generate the highest return on investment from for you.
Okay.
Because maybe the people in forums are going to generate a higher average order value, or they're a longer lifetime customer than somebody from social media, or vice versa.
So you're just making room for yourself, right? Is pretty much what
It's
you're
like basketball, box out,
doing. You're making room. I like that. Wait, do that again. How we do it?
box out.
No,
I
that's
think it's more like this.
okay. Just both
Yeah.
at the same time. Got it. Got it. I was making
Yeah.
a good dance for you. Sorry. Okay, so then what type of things would we measure? Right. So I'm a really good proponent of the what gets measured gets done. So
Mhm.
big picture, as business owners, not all of us are marketing experts. We have other things that we're monitoring and measuring. But what couple of things in our marketing portfolio or marketing dashboards should we be looking at?
Yeah, one of them is what, in a word cloud, what are the biggest and boldest words that are associated with your brand?
Mm,
So, is it exactly what it is that you do? Is it, like for me, if you said marketing maven, would it be PR? Would it be social media? Would it be influencer marketing? Would it be market research? Would it be results? Would it be, what pops up when people are doing a word cloud? If you're looking at a word cloud as it relates to your business. And that's really important to keep an eye on, because as we've been looking at word clouds for businesses today, looking back over the last 9 months during the pandemic, the word clouds have shifted as consumer behaviors have shifted.
uh,
So, for example, a skincare company, they used to have the word treatment, huge, 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 associated with the word cloud. Boom, COVID hit. Treatment, you can't get treatment. So, treatment is super, super tiny. Serum's still really big, and the word rejuvenate is huge. And
uh,
rejuvenate existed before. And then what we're calling post COVID, serum's still big and rejuvenate's really big. So we want to use the word rejuvenate in our messaging related to their product.
Okay. All right. No, I love that. You got me thinking on, where we stand with all of
Mhm.
this. I can't wait to do this exercise after this call. So this is absolutely wonderful. And then, so that is that the only thing that we should measure is our brand, the words that are attached to us in our brand? Is that the base?
You also want to be looking at, what your number of mentions are. So how much are you talked about online by these different audiences?
Okay.
So your mentions today might be 83, and then you are doing all of these marketing activities proactively. Then you have 390 6 months from now. So your number of mentions, your relevancy is increasing, and you're likely taking market share in the process.
Okay. And is that one of the reasons why we're encouraged to do like social media and post on Instagram and things like that? Does that contribute to what you're talking about?
Yeah, you want to be part of the conversation in a positive way. Also, we do a hashtag analysis. So, the way that you're looking at hashtags, you want to pick a topic that a lot of people are talking about. And then you also want to be able to pick something more specific to your brand.
Okay.
So, a hashtag analysis is also super important because you want to look at what hashtags your competitors are using too, because it's a way for you to get in front of their audiences.
I see. Oh my goodness. Okay, so this is a lot of information. So we've got the market research, we're looking at our competitors, we're boxing out and making room for ourselves as a part of these conversations, having I'm gonna call them keywords. You called it something else, but I'm gonna call it keywords, especially brand words that are associated for us. And then
Right.
now the hashtags and then the relevancy. I think that was a very opportune word that you used. And the word that you used in the beginning of being nimble. So just same way that the skincare line readjusted and was able to, move out of one word into another space, then we
Yep.
would look at that for ourselves. So then what's one thing that you would recommend every business owner to do like today, like after they click the subscribe button down below and the bell so they know when the episodes are coming out, but when they click subscribe, what would be the next thing you'd ask them to do?
Google your company name and Google your own name and set up Google alerts.
Oh, and see how what comes up when I see. So I'm putting in Miss Ronda Jackson, and
Mhm.
hopefully all those great articles, hopefully the awards and things like that. And then if not, can we call you?
Yep, that then you need online reputation management. It's called
Oh,
ORM, and you can use search engine optimized press releases to suppress the negative stuff and build up the positive stuff.
I see. Okay. So then if people want additional assistance or your special touch, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
You can visit our website. It's marketingmaven, MAVEN.com, marketingmaven.com.
I love it. Thank you so much, Lindsey. Thank you for all the information. And I'm just going to make the request to ask you back because once we do our marketing research, I'd love to follow up with you and find out what the next thing to do with that information once we have it all together. So,
Absolutely. Thank
oh,
you very much for having me.
no, thank you for coming. Appreciate it.